Another big interview.
The world's biggest stars.
On the 947 Top 40 with Zweli. Powered by CTM.
Are you ready?
Hey, Becky Hill. Sure, what's happening? Thank you so much for joining us over here in South Africa. We're a really, really big fan of your music. Yeah, you're currently in our top 2, actually, on the 947 Top 40 as well, with David Guetta. So,
wow. Thank you so much, guys. Well, thank you for having me on to talk about all things Becky Hill.
Yes, awesome. I want to kick it off over here. As an artist who came off an incredible run, I think it was The Voice. Gee whiz, it's mad that it was back in 2012. You had to start out in the industry after that. And I've always been interested, for you. Was there a little bit more pressure? Because now, the general public knew you. There was a bit more of an expectation that we know Becky Hill can sing. And now, is she going to give us the hits? I mean, outside of Shaking Trees, which is the group that you were in before, did you feel a bit more of that pressure, or was it more comfortable now that you didn't have to introduce yourself in a sense?
I kind of felt like nobody really knew me when I came off The Voice. I really felt like it was a completely blank slate, actually, almost as if I hadn't even been on it. The thing that it helped me with was to get into, it made me find my lawyer. I've still got the same lawyer that we had on The Voice 10 years ago. And I met my manager after that show by knocking on doors and giving people a call. But really, I did Afterglow, and then I did Piece of Me, and I did Gecko Overdrive, which went #1 in this country. And I really felt like nobody knew who I was for a very, very long time, actually. So I didn't feel any pressure, and I was really given the freedom to just write the music that I wanted to write. And it was just so happened that everybody else liked it as well. So that was good.
Love that. Now, on my show, my listeners would know this, I always refer to you as the best voice in dance music. But, listening to your latest album, there are so many different elements that I get from you. There's a lot of soul as well within Becky Hill. And even just back at the beginning, there was a lot of R&B and soul influence. And very interested to find out from you, what was your background in terms of soul music? What inspired you? Where did your love for soul and R&B grow?
I grew up in the early noughties. And back then we had artists like Lamar and Simon Webb. And when Rihanna was doing proper R&B as well, and obviously Rihanna and Beyonce always, Destiny's Child, and even towards like Stevie Wonder, Lauryn Hill. It was music like that that I kind of grew up on without even really realizing it. And it was when I met M&EK that we really started to experiment with different genres and mid-tempo stuff and stuff that was a bit more personal. My main influence is Robin. And I love Robin because not only did she start with a R&B album, she then went to do a synth pop album and has recently gone on to do dance music. So what I loved about Robin is that, she is an incredible songwriter, but she's almost genreless in the way that she works. And I think that is, that's proper artist goals.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned Robin over there, because for me personally, Dancing on My Own is one of the most incredibly written songs.
Of all time,
Yeah, definitely. And I want to move on to songwriting with you. I'm very intrigued, by your songwriting and your process, because I'm ashamedly a Love Island fan. I watch so much of it. You hear a lot of your music, on Love Island. And I love how you're able to express love in so many different forms. It can be a heartbreaking scene. Then we've got an acoustic, and Better Off Without You's got a bit of a different meaning, but then we're on the dance floor and we're almost dancing that pain away. So, for you, I wanted to find out, what is your process in songwriting? What do you tap into in your pen and your tunes?
I really like to get the balance between nostalgia and euphoria. I really like having that in between of bittersweet. And I think that's where I remember, it's funny that you mentioned Dancing on My Own, because I remember listening to that tune when I was 17 and I was at my sixth form Christmas party, and my boyfriend had just left me and got with another girl in his year, and I remember sat there listening to that song at the party, watching those two dance with each other, and I mean, it was very painful at the time, but I really wanted to bottle up that feeling, because it was almost like I was really excited to be at a party, but I was also really sad that my ex was there with a new girl. So for me, it's that kind of feeling that I want to give to other people, that, you know, it's you're going through heartbreak, but everything's going to be all right, or you're falling in love, but you're scared of it all going wrong. See, it's like that kind of bittersweet, double-edged sword thing.
Wow, awesome. And Only Honest on the Weekend, you know, it blew me away that it was your debut album, because I feel like you've become such a familiar artist. You've had so many different hits as well. And I want to find out from you, with this being your debut album, would you say, in a sense, that because you've got all these years and all these legs in the industry over the past almost decade really now, did that make things a little bit more comfortable in releasing the project? Because you know who Becky Hill is, you know, at the end of the day. So I'm wondering if that's something that you thought of.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's songs I wrote when I was 18 on that album. And I think that for me was really interesting, because this album is a real big slice of me. This album is me when I was 18, me when I was 23, me when I was 25, me when I was 27. Do you know what I mean? I'm 27 now. Yeah. But it has a full spectrum of me growing up through my 20s. And I think that was really important for me, to have different genres on there and different moods and different sides to me, because people have only really ever seen me on the big dance tracks. And I wanted to show people that you're right, like I can do the acoustic side, I can do a piano ballad, I can do garage, I can do, I can do house music, I can do sad house music, I can do, I really wanted to show people different sides of me, and I'm only just getting started as well, so that's exciting.
Woo, if you're just getting started, then I mean, we're in for one hell of a ride. Can't wait. I want to get to, the title of the album as well, Only Honest on the Weekend. In my mind, I've got so many different conspiracy theories as to, why that's the title of the album. But now that we've got you here, I thought that Becky Hill can tell us, what went in behind naming the album.
So I had a song called Space that was released at the beginning of this year, I think, or last year, and it didn't do very well. And it completely bombed. And I loved this song. The label really believed in it. I did only kind of see it as an album track, but the label were like, no, we think this is a single. And it didn't do very well at all. But I thought this was the best song I'd ever written, and it was the most personal song that I'd ever written. And the opening line is, it's like we're only honest on the weekend, only when we're out our minds. And there was a conversation within the label about, what we're going to name the album. They wanted it to have like a party vibe. They wanted it, there were a few very dodgy names knocking around at the album. And I was like, why don't we call it The First Line of Space? Because it does both. It has the emotional side of things, but it also has that kind of partying, we're getting drunk, and then let's go home and talk about our feelings while we're under the influence. So yeah, it kind of encapsulated the whole album.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, some of your collaborations have just been unreal. I mean, I'm looking at my list over here, and you have got the legendary David Guetta. I mean, that must have been just mad to get him on a record. Shift Keys here, Ella A, Sigala. Now you've got a new single, Topic, with Topic as well, which is super cool. So do you ever look back to when you started and you look at now, who says, yes, I want to work with Becky Hill, or I want Becky Hill to songwrite for me, produce with me, collaborate with Becky Hill. How does that sort of stuff make you feel? Because it says a lot about your artistry.
It's amazing. I think for me, this was something that I had to get used to quite early on in the industry. I remember when I was 19, And I'd just written, I was in the studio with a guy called Talay Riley and Brad Ellis, and we were writing a really bad song. And then at the end of the day, Brad gets a phone call from Wilkinson. And he got off the phone call and I was like, I've been a fan of Wilkinson since I was 16. I've illegally downloaded his EPs a few times. And I'm a huge fan of his. And we wrote Afterglow that night and it became Wilkinson's single. Now, let me tell you how gassed I was at 19 to be working with a drum and bass artist such as Wilkinson. And then fast forward to 27, and I'm working with David Guetta, who I've been listening to since I was 10 or 9. You know, I've always felt very humbled by the industry respect that I've had.
Yes.
And it's so nice that now it isn't just staying with the industry, but it's the wider public that are now recognizing I'm writing songs and I'm singing them, and it's me that people like.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love it. Now, one final question for you. So we've been treated some really badass singles from Only on the Weekend. Better Off Without You is definitely on there. Remember, like I said, in our top 3 on the top 40. And now we've got the latest single with Topic, My Heart Goes. Just that bloody, so bloody catchy, so super, super cool. And I want to chat to you a little bit about, your collab with Topic. He's had some big hits last year as well. So how was that, getting together to create one of your own, I guess, musical babies?
This was a song written on a writing camp of mine, which was huge. It was a massive career moment for me. Like, I've only ever been on other people's writing camps. False Alarm, for example, was written at a writing camp. With Matoma. So for me, like, I've always wanted to have my favorite songwriters and producers down to help me write songs. And and My Heart Goes was written by an incredible singer-songwriter called Charlotte Haining, Josh Wilkinson, and a great producer called Goldfingers. And we all knew it was a huge hit as soon as we heard it. And it was my manager that sent it over to Topic. And we met actually for the first time the other day, and he is lovely, but he replayed all of the parts. He totally put his own stamp on it. And yeah, it's out and about, and I'm so glad people are resonating with it because he's a lovely guy and we've worked really, really hard on this track.
Becky Hill, thank you so much for chatting. I wanted to just add over there. I think your music resonates with people because you're so honest about it. You're honest in your songwriting, even just chatting to you now in your storytelling. So thank you very much. And when things are over, please come to South Africa. I told Anne-Marie,
love to.
I will hunt you down if you don't come to South Africa. I'll make my way to the UK.
Yes, I would absolutely love to. It's always been a place I've wanted to go, actually. So I'll be there with my traveling backpack as well. And you can show me some jungle safaris and stuff.
Yes. Becky, you're so lovely. All I love from South Africa and 947.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
You too. Cheers.
Yo, #947 Top 40 CTM.